Gracias universo, gracias madre querida, por otro día con salud, otro día con desafíos. Y gracias por mandarme ese pajarito cuando me sentía tan derrotado, que cantó así con la última luz del día, que cantó hasta que bajó el sol y que dijo claramente, hay alegría. Este universo susurra con alegría. Y luego me recordó que somos divinos, que yo, que el pájaro, que el río, el árbol, las ranas, somos divinos. Y el propósito, bueno, el pájaro no dijo que el propósito era divino, eso lo digo yo. El pájaro paró ahí, yo pensé que iba a decir más, dijo solamente dos cosas. Hay alegría, somos divinos. Así de simple. Gracias. Gracias por la energía, por la fuerza, por los años que pasan y se acumulan y a veces duelen, pero también las memorias abundan y son dulces. Much obliged, much obliged. Muito obrigado, obrigado. Tengo una obligación contigo. Buenas noches. This is a follow-up to yesterday's recording on joy resonance and invoking magic. And previous to that, I had recorded a cycle of Gracias before leaving my camp by the river. And that is the most essential, basic way I have found to invoke magic, because it just gives thanks, establishes that I'm much obliged for the sun and the river and the rain, but I'm not asking for anything specific. I'm just invoking magic and see what comes about. And there's no seeking my personal solace or anyone else's benefit. And it was magical yesterday. Coming back here, it was quieter on the streets and even here. And then it rained all night. Before that, before going to sleep, I listened to my own music for the first time in 2 months. Listening to Violeta Parra brought tears to my eyes, and that gave me a connection to something essential to a mine sister like Violeta Parra. Then it rained most of the night from 3:30 in the morning until 10:30 maybe. And it's cool, much cooler than usual. So I have a stay here, not going to the river camp. So I get a much needed day of rest, physically and mentally and spiritually. I made popcorn this morning, and before that Jason called me, which is always a cause for joy. So it all makes me feel much better. I ate chicken with rice. I'm feeling in very good spirits and resting. Even gonna have a nap now, but before doing that, I'm going to do another cycle of gracias or much obliged, invoke magic. So this is a coda to that, to the JRM, the joy resonance, and how we can bring joy resonance by this mantra action. Yeah, it is a mantra, and it's very specific. It honors the universe and what surrounds us. Gracias sol, gracias lluvia, gracias nube, gracias agua, gracias río, gracias árbol, gracias pájaro, gracias rana, gracias corazón, gracias pulmón, gracias algodón, gracias riñón, Gracias cerebro, gracias cerebelo, gracias esófago, gracias estómago. Much oblige, hand, much oblige, foot, much oblige, river, much oblige, wave, much oblige, sound, much oblige, sun, much oblige, egg, much oblige, feather, much oblige, nest, much oblige, baby bird, much oblige, snake, much oblige, culebra, much oblige, cobra. Much oblige, cold, much oblige, heat, much oblige, snow, much oblige, fire, much oblige, ashes, much oblige, mud, much oblige, root, much oblige, fruit, much oblige, clot, much oblige, lot, much oblige, draught, much oblige, pot, much oblige, hot, much oblige, suit, much oblige, cloud, much oblige, proud, much oblige, south, much oblige, tongue, much oblige, teeth, much oblige, molar, much oblige, throat, much oblige, lips, much oblige, nose, much oblige, birth,